Are you looking to invest in design and technology resources? Well, here on Resource Review, we're looking at 3 that might meet your needs. A benchtop router with design software.
The software will run through the actual machine and carve out the design.
Heat transfer printing equipment.
They then print the image onto sublimation paper.
And a state-of-the-art video library system. Find out whether our panel of experts has designs on these 3 here on Resource Review. Recommending today's resources is Jonathan Boyle. Jonathan is Deputy Head Teacher with responsibility for D&T at Walsall Academy. Joining Jonathan, we have Ray Barker, Director of the British Educational Suppliers Association, and Colin Hinson, an independent educational consultant. Thank you all very much for coming. So, Jonathan, let's start with the Boxford Router. Can you explain this resource to us and what makes it stand out?
The Boxford Router is undeniably a super piece of educational equipment for routing pieces of material such as this here, which has been cut out in mahogany. Now, it's an A3 Plus router. It's an expensive piece of equipment at £9,500, but the software and its functionality and its 3-year warranty is one which is really a great piece of equipment for schools.
Wonderful. Let's go and see the router in action. We cut a path to Sheffield Sports and Community College in Walsall to find out whether teacher Vicky Belcher and her pupils think it's a model resource.
Today I've had 7 students working with me. They're a mixed group from years 9 to 11. What my students have been doing is trying to develop their graphic design work in 3D. They're designing a perfume bottle based on the idea of icicles. We'll have to do a sort of flip face so that it's a mirror image under there. And then we've got the writing on the top. We then send it to the Boxford Router software, which will then run through the actual machine and carve out the design in foam or hardwood. To begin with, I'm going to try selecting this 6.35mm radius tool, which will be in the machine. The router works by looking at the different lines, contour lines of the 3D shape. The router will cut away these lines, these contours, bit by bit to the shape that you want. The advantages of using this machine are that the students get results quickly. The router makes it easy for them to get from that 2D stage on paper, in pencil, to a final outcome. The things that I've found difficult to get used to are more to do with the mechanical side of the router. Things like putting the clamps in place, changing the router blade in the collet. It's more a sort of machine that perhaps a resistant materials teacher would generally use, so I think that will come with time and with practice.
Right, well, before I open it up to the panel, let's just look at the issue of cost. As you said in the introduction, it is a very expensive item of equipment. How is that going to work in most schools?
Yes, it is an expensive piece of equipment, but it's also very robust. It will stand the test of time.
So this should be seen as a long-term investment?
Absolutely. You should expect to get excellent value for money out of such a piece of equipment.
Ray, overall, what did you think of the Boxford Router?
It's magic, isn't it? I mean, I think
that's
the ultimate of it, I think. And what you're faced with here is this great capability of taking the 2D to the 3D. In terms of the price, it's a quality object, and I think when you're investing in equipment and you know it's going to cost a lot of money, what you have to think of, particularly to do with D&T, is this is the way the real world works now.
Colin, what did you think of the router?
Well, like everyone says, it's magical, isn't it? You know, I'm so jealous of kids these days who have wonderful pieces of equipment like this. You know, wish we had that kind of thing. Coming back to that cost thing, it doesn't necessarily have to be just the D&T people who have hold of this. But you can, with imagination, I can see the history people, the English people, science, and all sorts of classes using this, and that way the cost is much more justified.
OK, well thank you all very much. Now let's move on to Jonathan's second choice of resource, and it's called the mega die sublimation process. Is that right, Jonathan?
That's right.
Tell us a little bit more about it.
This is a process whereby you can print onto a piece of paper, polyester coated, and it converts a solid into a gas and back into a solid again, but onto a different material. As you can see with the examples I've got here, you can go from 2D solutions all the way to fabulous three-dimensional solutions, so you can build it into product designs to make quality products that you'd expect to find on sale in any store.
All right, well let's go and now see the mega die sublimation system in use. We're visiting teacher Fiona Kilby at Ossett High School in Wakefield, and she's using it with a group of pupils of all ages.
Right, the lesson objectives for today are for you to produce an image using ICT, and we're going to use something called sublimation printing to attach it to your product. Today we've been using sublimation printing equipment, which consists of a printer and a press. It's come with some sublimation ink and some paper, and then the manufacturer sells various products.
I'm making a mouse mat, well, a design for a mouse mat.
The students are first of all asked to design an image using the computer, and they can use various programs.
The images are pictures that I've had from throughout the year, and I've transformed them to make them look like pop-out images.
Right, now that you've produced your image, what I want you to think about is the size that you need it to be. They then print the image onto sublimation paper using the sublimation die. It then goes onto the press where the heat dries it. They position their material underneath, be it a mouse mat or a glass chopping board or a coaster or some fabric, tape it down, and then set the press for the correct temperature following the instructions from the manufacturer, and leave it for the set time. I think it's an excellent resource. In some schools they might find it expensive. You've obviously got your running costs, but once you've set it up, per product that it produces, it isn't too expensive. I think it's a really good process, and I think that the quality is fantastic. The students are so impressed when they see the product.
There we go.
Particularly if they brought in their own photograph and they spent time, you know, creating the image, and then to actually see it realised is great.
Excellent, well done.
I like that.
Really good. Be able to take that home.
Well, Jonathan, a popular resource with the teacher there, and judging from the examples that you've brought with you, a very versatile resource as well.
Yes, I've got some examples to show you here. Let's look at the first one, which is, you know, a 2D solution onto a ceramic tile, one of my daughter here. And straight away, the quality of the product here, it means that the image cannot be removed. And here's another one here. Certainly the quality of this product, a mouse mat, is commensurate with those that you'd expect to find in industry. Let's have a look at this mug. In this example, we've got an image which has been transferred onto the mug by strapping on a printout and then put into an oven.
Right.
And then we go on to something like this one here, which is the fabulous Resource Review logo. It's been machined out in 3D, and then I've printed onto this in colour onto PVC the Resource Review logo. And simply by vacuum forming over the image, we've got ourselves that sign.
So, wonderful resource. I know I harp on about it, but it is quite pricey again. We're talking around about £1,000 plus the added cost of the consumables once
right.
you've got it in the classroom. What would be your response to that?
£1,000 for some schools might be a lot of money, but you're raising not only the profile of design and technology in your school, but the children are being enabled to make quality products that they want to take home. That's what it's all about.
OK. Colin, is that what it's all about?
It is. It's the making thing that is absolutely fantastic, and what a motivator. You know, I mean, whenever kids are doing design and technology, they spend so much time designing things, but very little time actually making their product, that I think this is a wonderful way of engaging pupils in design and technology, because at the end, they see what they've actually made and can show other people as well.
Ray, what are your thoughts?
Interestingly enough, my view was immediately slightly different than that what this enables children to do is to focus on the design element. And in a sense, the technology is kind of invisible. So on the computer, they were able to look at all of their design input, and they were able to produce that design. And then it was just, we can make it. And I think the quality aspect is something that when you make something, you deserve for it to be the best possible quality, and you can't ever get over that. I think that's going to be the motivating factor.
OK, just one final point I want to raise. The use of the press there that we saw in the video, that can get very hot, I'm told. Is there a safety issue there?
As with all pieces of equipment and design and technology, there has to be a risk assessment done, which should form part of a lesson planning. And yes, it does get to nearly 200 degrees C, and we've got to be aware of that.
Well, thank you all very much. Finally, let's move on to Jonathan's third choice of resource, and it's called ClickView, Video Library and Player. Jonathan, explain this one to us.
Well, how many times have we been searching around looking for video clips for design and technology? ClickView puts an end to that. Contained on the server of videos are over 900 full-length videos. And within that, over 100 are related to design technology and food technology. Teachers might use this in one of three ways. They may look through design and technology videos and just search for what they wish, or they can put it in as keywords. And finally, the teacher can generate lessons based on previous video content that they found. Each video is chaptered, so you can look for the relevant part that is going to be most pertinent to that lesson on the day.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Quickly from the panel, Ray, this is a product that comes from Australia. Do you see any problems there?
I don't think really there's any problem in terms of basic curriculum terminology as yet. I just think it's a shame that we haven't done it in England, really. We have loads of public service organisations, BBC, Channel 4. Why haven't we got something like this for ourselves?
Colin, finally from you, works out approximately £2,000 a year. Is it worth it?
Yes, of course it is. I mean, if it was just the design and technology department paying for it, then perhaps not. But because when you look at this product, there are videos that cut across right across the curriculum and all subjects of the curriculum, then every department within a school can chip in a little bit and make it a really useful resource.
Well, thank you very much. We've almost run out of time. Jonathan, a final comment then, why schools should choose ClickView?
ClickView, you can add to it with any free-to-air broadcasts. You can also add your own school videos, and also ClickView will continue to add to the library year on year. Well,
thank you all very much. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today. But to recap, the three resources that we looked at were the HSR CNC router from Boxford Limited, the Megadie sublimation system from Mega Electronics Limited, and finally, ClickView video library software from Classroom Video. For more information about all of the resources we've discussed and to post your own comments about other resources for secondary D&T, go to our website. It's teachers.tv/resource review. If you want to, email us resourcereview@teachers.tv. A very big thank you to our panel, to Jonathan, to Ray and to Colin. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on Resource Review. Bye-bye.